I'd like to discuss political strategy. First off by mentioning that we don't have one for Ireland. A strategy entails not only holding an ideology and forming a political party, it requires an overall multi-phase plan, prescribed roles, and jobs/tactics for each of those roles which people can carry out on a daily or weekly basis. Right now, all I see is recruitment and cult-like entrenchment, social media streams of fear porn, and calls for people to vote for the National Party. If you want to call that a strategy, it's a losing strategy. Frequent followers are probably sick of me talking about the National Party, but until it's put in its proper context, I'll keep railing on the issue. The party isn't doing anything. It's a non-entity. The talking points are a caricature that reaffirm the mainstream's indictment that they're only interested in xenophobia and oppression of women. It's completely out of touch with the average Irishman and woman's concerns and personal philosophy. If it were to get to the point of having more than one guy prepared to stand up under his given name and run for election, it would be woefully outstripped by the socialists. Not because most people are commie bastard degenerates, but because the socialists appeal to actual issues facing Ireland's most vulnerable and the failure of the entire system to serve the average working person. While the NP and their fan club are suffering tunnel vision, complaining about the bizarre full-frontal attack on Catholic Ireland and circulating articles about interracial rapes, the rest of the country is suffering under the yoke of fiscal oppression, and the socialists sound like the only sane people on the island. It's not that the cultural erosion and the population displacement isn't important. It's just not as important to the millions of us who are trying to survive week to week, month to month, praying that another rug isn't pulled out from under our feet. We simply don't have time to give a shit. What we do have time for is a presidential candidate who sees what's going on in terms of our displacement and loss of identity. We might not be able to grasp the wider schemes like the Kalergi Plan, the Marrakesh Declaration of 2018, or the destruction of the family. But that's just where we're at right now. In Kevin Sharkey, we have a chance to shift that Overton window, not only politically, but culturally and spiritually. I was told by an NPer on Facebook that Sharkey was a liberal pussyfooter or something of the sort. Even if he was, he's much more able to get the attention of and reason with the average Irish person. This is the disposition of our people right now, and it's also the spirit of our people. As a friend of mine put it, we're socially conservative and economically socialist. Most of our people have a latent philosophy that balances a need for law, structure, and family with a social safety net. Sharkey is using the mainstream media and his social media to appeal to that sensibility while pointing out that this way of life is contingent upon our national cohesion. Most people haven't a clue what the National Party is, and most who do find out will laugh at it. This is reality knocking. Conversely, thousands upon thousands now know who Kevin Sharkey is, and we're guaranteed that an enormous many of them agree with him on some level. If nationalists and identitarians in Ireland reject this reality and insist upon living in their social media created fantasy bubble instead of pledging their support to this man's campaign, he very well may lose the opportunity and sink into obscurity. Where will we be then? Exactly where we were before Sharkey made his bid, only 1 year closer to extinction. If he does get into the race and wins, he will change Ireland's perception of politics completely. He will use his platform to talk again and again and again about our coming displacement. He may even become more radical after securing the position. Then, and only then, will something like the National Party even be on our radar. So if you prefer actual strategy formed by an assessment of reality, over living in a fantasy land waiting for the second coming of Hitler Christ to do all the work for you? Contact your local TDs and councillors and pester them to nominate Sharkey. Link to a website to help you do that in the description. Then join his campaign, Boots on the Streets, Knocks on the Door, Meme Generation. In other words, put a tiny fraction of the effort in that you used to get Trump elected in America. I promise you, this time it will actually help Ireland.